Hi guys, Steve from Vintage Classics here this week. I got a little bit of a mixed bag for you. Got some recent pickups, a few pennants I wanted to show today, and some hockey cards. So hope everybody had a good weekend. A big night last night for the Patriots. I don't expect them to be a playoff team. At least I don't think so right now. But it is a step in the right direction. I think Mike Vrabel's got them playing well, playing hard. And, they did well to go into Buffalo and beat the Bills because the Bills are, are clearly one of the class teams of the NFL. The Eagles, the Bills, teams like that. And the Eagles got beat too, which, Denver came back on them. So there's no more undefeated teams. But I hope everybody's team did well and you had a good, enjoyable weekend with your families. That's about all I have to talk about other than the actual stuff I want to show you. I'm going to start with some recent pickups. I told you about 2 weeks ago, Kevin Paquette, he's one of the dealers at the show weeks that Caesar and I go to on the last month, Sunday of every month. He had given me this card. I got it the other day, and I just want to really say thanks, Kevin. I really like it a lot. It's a 1983 Kellogg's of Jim Sundberg. Oops. Jim Sundberg was a great defensive catcher. I'm shocked that he wasn't an all-star more often. He didn't have much of a bat, but you can't deny defensively how good he was. In fact, I got a Jim Sundberg catcher's mitt that I used to use to warm up the pitches when I coached Little League. But that's that's an '83 Kellogg's of Jim Sundberg, Texas Rangers. All right. Another one that came in is this 1973-74 Peter Mahovlich from the Montreal Canadiens. The dreaded Canadiens. Hockey's getting ready to start. The season starts Tuesday. The Bruins, my team, opens on Wednesday. I'll see that game, but unfortunately, we're going to a wedding on Friday night up in New Hampshire, way up in the White Mountains. So we're leaving on Thursday to go up there. So I'll miss the Bruins Blackhawks game. But hey, what are you going to do? Family comes first. Hockey second. Hockey and baseball. But there's Peter Mahovlich. All right, then I got a 1969 O-Pee-Chee Phil Esposito All-Star PSA 5. Nice looking card. There's old Phil. One of my favorites. Told you guys many times the story how upset I was when they traded him to the Rangers. But we got a good return. Park and Rattel came back. But I used to love Phil Esposito. You couldn't beat him in the crease. He'd park himself there, and any rebounds or anything else, he's gonna put it in the net. So, great player. Here's a guy. I got this to see if my wife would catch on, but it's a 1951 Bowman of John Berardino. It's a PSA 6. As a kid, she used to watch General Hospital, and I guess he used to play Dr. Steve Hardy on that show. And she was like, "Am I supposed to know this guy?" She's like, "He looks a little familiar." I said, I started giving her hints. She didn't know he played baseball, but that's John Berardino with the St. Louis Browns, predecessors of the Baltimore Orioles. So, all right. Then we got a 1994 Mother's Cookies, Mike Piazza, Rookie of the Year catching pose. That's a PSA 9. Mike Piazza, Hall of Fame catcher from the Dodgers and the Mets. I guess mainly the Dodgers, but here's the back of it. There's that glare again. There we go. It's a little bit better. All right, it's Mike Piazza. I'm not sure if I showed one of these already, but I'm going to show the 3 exhibit cards I've gotten in the last week or so. Here's a Billy Goodman, Red Sox infielder. I love that pose, jumping up in the air. The old, the way the uniform should be worn. Socks up, not all the way down. We're almost stepping on them like they do today. But exhibit cards are nice. Classic, black and white. A lot of old-time greats, Hall of Famers and everything. All right. I got this one too, especially it's Al Evans, because as my grandson's only a year old, and as he gets a little older, I'm going to have to introduce baseball to him. His father's more of a hockey person, so I'm a big baseball guy, as you guys know. But I want to, no, for some reason, even at the major league level, guys just can't bunt anymore. And I used to emphasize every year when I coached over and over the the drills we do, bunting, all the basics of the game, moving runners along and stuff. And in the big leagues, you watch guys use the playoffs during the regular season. They try to bunt. He either goes over, fouls it off behind the catcher, or it's just a line drive right back to the pitcher. They just don't bunt anymore. But I like this because it shows the proper bunting stance, with the hand bat up at an angle, and you can always drop it down, or if you have to go up, if it's up above that bat level, you shouldn't be trying to bunt it anyway. It's going to be a ball. But I got that so I can say, okay, you see this picture right here? That's how I want you to do it. Of course he's gonna want to play. I'm not one of those people that's gonna force him. But if he wants to play and he shows an interest in it, I'm definitely gonna work with him. All right, and the other one is Dom DiMaggio, Joe DiMaggio's brother, the little professor, Red Sox center fielder. Nice looking card too. Like I said, exhibit cards are nice. I mean, some of them can be pricey. The short printed ones, Koufax, Mays, stuff like that. But you can get some great all-time greats. I'm talking Jackie Robinson, Ted Williams, Stan Musial, guys at there's Hall of Famers and there's Hall of Famers. And a lot of the Hall of Famers are in there. If you were to go back to like the 1928 exhibit cards, you can pick up Babe Ruths and stuff like that. But if you start with these are classified as 1947 to 1966, and they were made by the Exhibit Card Company out of Chicago. But like I said, I just love them. Here's one that it's a 19. I've had this for a while, but 1925 Spalding Boston Red Sox. It was authenticated by Vintage Sports Authority. They're not even around anymore. It was a near mint 7. Like I said, it's a 1925 Spalding Boston Red Sox. Oops. Just a nice looking old, 100 years old. In fact, 100 years old now. Just a beautiful piece of vintage baseball. Yeah, there's no superstars on there, but I mean, how often are you going to come across, and it's in good shape. Cards like this that are in decent shape. I always used to question whether it had been trimmed or not. I don't think it has, but there's a little piece down there where you see it sticks out a little further. But it doesn't look like it was trimmed, so I don't know. I mean, I think they would have picked up on that, but just a beautiful card. All right, I'll show you a few pennants, and we're going to go into some hockey cards. I've got the 1912 Fenway Park's 100-year pennant here. Oops, I don't know how to show these the best. 100 years of Fenway Park. All right, that's one. Then I've got the 2007 World Series Championship Red Sox. A lot of the guys on here. You got Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell, Daisuke Matsuzaka, David Ortiz, Jonathan Papelbon, Dustin Pedroia, Manny Ramirez, Kurt Schilling, Jason Varitek, Kevin Youkilis. Great team, the 07 Red Sox. So that's another one. Then we got the 2017 World Baseball Classic champion. U.S. won it that year. Here's the World Baseball Classic. I've got a few pennants hanging up in here that are the Patriots one. I can tilt the camera here. Up there at the top. That's actually from my room when I was a kid. So I have a few others around the room, but here's the 2017 World Baseball Classic Championship the American team, USA team. All right, and then we got a one of the greats, Roberto Clemente. Nice pennant of Roberto. This one was made in 1994, so you're talking over 30 years. Still in great shape. All right. Can't show hockey cards and can't have the hockey season starting on Tuesday without showing my team, the Boston Bruins. The classic 8-spoke B, the black and gold. I always tell my friend Dan, the real black and gold, he's a Steelers fan, is the Bruins. The 1924, the Bruins came along. The Steelers didn't come along until later. So, but One of the original 6. First American team. All right, then we got a couple like player type pennants. Here's a Mike Greenwell, and this one is from I want to say 1987. The Gator, Mike Greenwell, Red Sox left fielder. Got a stain on it right here. Something was, you can see it better in the back. So I don't know what happened to that, but still love it. You know, still special piece of baseball history, Red Sox history. The great Mike Greenwell. Some people would say, "Why?" I wouldn't call him great, but he was a really, really good player. This one I actually have in a holder. It's Larry Bird, and I don't know what year this is from. This is probably, I would say it's around 1985. There's Larry. It's stained also on the top up here. It's tough sometimes, especially with the white ones, to keep it clean. But that's Larry Bird. As you can see, it's a plastic. I actually need to get some more of these and put all the pennants in there. All right, that's Larry Bird. Okay, that's it for the pennants. All right, I'm going to show you a few goalie cards, and then we'll go into a few hockey regular players, not non-goaltenders. All right, first is 1972-73 tops of Lorne Gump Worsley, Minnesota North Stars. I saw him play without a mask in the Boston Garden with my dad. I was just a kid, obviously, but nice looking cards. All right. Here's Jerry Desjardins, Islanders goalie. That was I believe that was the Islanders' first season. First or second season, I'd have to look. But just nice looking cards. Here's a 74-75 of Rogie Vachon from the Kings. All right. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell you? On that last one, this is my mistake. Desjardins card, it's actually an O-Pee-Chee, not a Topps. As you can see, this French at the bottom. I correct myself, making a mistake here. Here's a 72-73 Topps of Eddie Jockman, one of the Rangers goalies. In fact, he just passed away. Great goalie. Got to see him play my Bruins a lot as a kid. Him and Gilles Villemure, the other Ranger goalie. All right, here's Bernie Parent, 1978-79, and Bernie just passed away about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Great Flyer goalie, Hall of Famer, great goalie. Started in the Bruins organization. All right, 79-80 Topps of the great Tony Esposito, making a save. There's the puck. Mr. Butterfly, the butterfly stance. Here's a 76-77 Topps of Gilles Gilbert, Boston Bruins. I used to love this guy, Gilles Gilbert. I've got a puck. One of these days I'll do that. I've got most of the 72 Bruins. I think it all, but Ace Bailey and who's the other one I'm missing? Gary Doak, maybe. I got to work on that, but I have a Gilles Gilbert puck up there too, signed. Here's a 77-78 Topps of Rogie Vachon again from the Kings. Great goalie. Not that big, small, 5'7". In comparison to today's goaltenders, are all 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Goalies weren't as big back then. Here's a 1973-74 of Jim Rutherford, goaltender for the Penguins. Later became a general manager for the Detroit Red Wings. All right. Here's a nice action shot. Got to get the action shots in there, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever. I got to have some action shots. Here's a 73-74 Topps of Dan Bouchard, Atlanta Flames goalie. Looks like he's trying to get the rebound, cover it up. That's a nice looking set that year. Here's a 72-73 Topps of Gary Edwards, Los Angeles Kings goalie. All right. Here's a mask for you, straight out of a horror movie. Here's a 73-74 Topps of Wayne Stevenson from the Blues. Look at that mask. You probably wouldn't want to run into him in a dark alley wearing that. but that wasn't uncommon in those days. Right. Here's a 74-75 of Gilles Meloche, California Golden Seals. Great team from the past. Wore the white skates for a little while. All right, here's a 77-78 Topps, and it's Glenn Chico Resch from the Islanders. Part of a great tandem with Billy Smith for the Islanders in net. They backstopped them to several cups. Had a dynasty back then. Here's a 76-77 O-Pee-Chee of Cesar Maniago. Depicted with the Vancouver Canucks here. No more so for the Minnesota North Stars, but that was airbrushed. Again, like we discussed in other videos, it was a common occurrence back then for Topps. They airbrushed the uniform of the new team that the person went to. Another one's airbrushed. Here's a 76-77 Topps of Gilles Villemure. He had left the Rangers and gone to the Blackhawks. So as you can see, that's painted. That's airbrushed, rather. All right. Here's a 76-77 Dan Bouchard from the Flames again. This time not in action. The Atlanta Flames. 76-77 Topps of Yves Blanger, St. Louis Blues goaltender. Then you got a, I just realized, I don't know why, but my camera's showing. Hopefully it doesn't play that way for you, but everything's backwards, all the numbers. I apologize for the names and numbers on the cards being backwards. I must have done something when I set this up, but again, I'm sorry for that. But the pictures are okay. Here's a 76-77 Topps of Jim Rutherford. He's actually right-handed. He's sticks on this side. It shows him as left-handed. Again, everything's flipped. I don't know why, but sorry about that. Here's a 74-75 Topps of Dennis Herron, Pittsburgh Penguins goaltender. All right. Here's another one of Dennis Herron, 76-77 Topps of the Kansas City Scouts. Another team that's long gone. There's the Scouts. They had nice uniforms, too. 76-77 Topps of Bernie Wolf, Washington Capitals goaltender. 72-73 Topps of Roger Crozier, Buffalo Sabres. He was around a long time. Goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings for many years. All right. 72-73 O-Pee-Chee of Phil Meir, Atlanta Flames. All right. 71-72 Topps of Gary Smith, California Golden Seals goaltender. I used to have I still have a newer one, but the tabletop hockey, with the guys on the rods and the sticks, and I had it was the Vancouver Canucks and the California Golden Seals. That's who the game came with, and I used to always want to be the Seals, so I still love the uniform. But here's the 72-73 Topps of Gilles Meloche again, California Golden Seals. So we're getting a little run of the Seals here, the Golden Seals. Here's another one, 73-74 of him, Gilles Meloche. Love the old blockers and the trapper with the brown, the vintage look. That's not vintage look. That's what they wore back then. I wish somebody would do that today. We're all the old looking style. Here's a 75-76 of the late, recently passed away Eddie Jacquemin, New York Rangers Topps card. For some reason, no, that's not airbrush. It looks like it is, but it's not. Here's a 1969-70 Topps of Bruce Gamble, Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender. (1974-75 Topps, Gary Smith, Vancouver Canucks. Look at the hair. Definitely a 70s style. But the Vancouver Canucks. 71-72 Topps, Dennis DeJordy, LA Kings goaltender. He had come over from the Chicago Blackhawks, I believe. Yeah, he was a Blackhawk goalie before. Because I actually have some cards of him with the Blackhawks. Here's a 77-78 of another team that doesn't exist anymore. Gilles Meloche with the Cleveland Barons. I actually bought a shirt of theirs, T-shirt, long sleeve T-shirt. I believe I wore it in one of the videos a while back, maybe a year ago, of this team. Cleveland Barons. Can't tell who they're playing against, but here's a 76-77 of Phil Muir, Atlanta Flames, goaltender. In fact, I got two of him in a row. The next one is a 73-74 Topps. All right. Let me just show you a few non-goaltenders. This is a really neat, you talk about action pictures or photos. This is 72-73 Topps of Keith Magnuson. The lens of the camera. There he is, the way they shot it. It's almost like it's a kaleidoscope or a telescope sometime. I don't know the proper word, but it's a neat looking card. All right, then you got a 73-74 Topps of Serge Savard, Montreal Canadiens defenseman. '72-73 Topps of Bill Goldsworthy, the Minnesota North Stars. Started out with the Boston Bruins. I actually have a card of him in a Bruins uniform, but he had some good years with the North Stars. 73-74 Topps, Cliff Coral, Chicago Blackhawks. Another one of the original 6. 73-74 team card of the Vancouver Canucks. I love these team cards back then. All right. 73-74 team card of the LA Kings. These are Topps cards, by the way. When they used to wear the gold and purple, not the black and silver, black and white and silver that they wear today. 73-74 Philadelphia Flyers. Broad Street Bullies. Used to battle my big bad Bruins back then. And one more, 73-74 Topps of the Pittsburgh Penguins, rather. Sorry. When they used to wear the blue uniforms. I told you guys before the story how they switched right before the playoff series against us to the current black and gold, and the Bruins weren't too happy about it. But most of the time, their existence, they wore the blue. So here's a 72-73 Topps of Ivan Boldarev of the Golden Seals, another former Bruin. Yep. Bruins had a lot of talent. Montreal had tons of the most, but the Bruins had quite a bit of talent organization to the point where he just couldn't keep them all. And a lot of them surfaced in other areas, and this is one of the guys. Here's a 68-69 Topps of Bobby Rousseau with the Montreal Canadiens. That's a nice looking set, too. All right. Here's Clear the Track. Here comes Eddie Shack. 1970-71 Topps. Eddie Shack with the Kings. Colorful player. At that time, he had 1,121 penalty minutes. Eddie's been called the Clown Prince of Hockey, as there's never a dull moment when he's on the ice. Eddie Shack. Here's a 73-74 Topps power play goal leaders in the NHL East Conference, Phil Esposito. The NHL West, Rick McLeish. Esposito had 19, McLeish had 21. That's my guy, Phil Esposito. Here's a 76-77 Topps of Gilbert Perreault, part of the French connection from the Buffalo Sabres. Great center. All right, here's a 74-75 Topps of Marcel Dion, then with the Detroit Red Wings. Played for the Kings, too. Played for a few teams, but great Hall of Famer. Now, this one here celebrates most points in the game. I watched this game. When was the date of this? February 7th, 1976. So I would have been 13 years old. I remember when Sittler had a 10-point game. He had 6 goals and 4 assists. And they beat the Bruins 11-4. But that's the card commemorating that day. Painful for me that night. But it was an eventful day in hockey. 6 goals. Equivalent of 2 hat tricks in one game. Here's a 76-77 Topps of Marcel Dion. Now he's with the Kings, the LA Kings. 77-78 tops of Dennis Potvin, great Islander defenseman. Part of that dynasty I spoke about a few minutes ago. Here's the 77-78 tops record breaker, longest point streak, Guy Lafleur. He had a point streak record of 28 games with points in them. Great Guy Lafleur, the Flower. Bruins killer. 78-79, Brian Trottier, another Islander great, Hall of Famer. Key member of that great Islander teams. All right, got two more. 76-77 tops of Rick Martin, from the part of the French Connection from the Buffalo Sabres. I showed you Perreault a few minutes ago. Here's Martin. And the other one would have been Rene Robert, but I don't have a card of him in here today. I have shown him in the past, but it's funny because I have a card of his on the way. I ordered an action shot. I think it was a 73-74, maybe. I'll show it to you when it comes in, but of Rene Robert. And the last one was a 76-77 tops of Yvon Conway, Montreal Canadian great. He's another one that wasn't that big. 5'7", 180 pounds. Just nicknamed the Roadrunner. He could skate, boy. I remember one time at the Garden being at a game against Montreal, the Bruins in Montreal, and you could see how fast he was. Very small, diminutive, but could handle that puck and really could skate. But all right. Well, that concludes the cards. Some pennants. What else did I show you? A couple odds and ends here. Like I said, I just had a surgery on my lower back. I had a cyst removed, so I'm kind of uncomfortable sitting here. They had the most because of the location where it was, they couldn't numb it, so they lanced it. And I tell you, I have a lot of respect for those. When you watch westerns or movies in the old days when they used to bite on a stick, well, I could have used a stick, a hockey stick or something, baseball bat. But it's starting to feel a little bit better now. But it's just uncomfortable sitting. But I hope everybody has a good week. May God bless you and your families. My saying is always keep collecting. Enjoy the hobby. It's a great hobby. I just was talking to some people the other day, and I was saying how many great people I've met through, collecting sports memorabilia, baseball cards, autographs, or whatever it might be. Just so many nice people out there that are willing to help you, educate yourself. If you have questions, nobody knows everything. So the more you can learn about the hobby, the better. I mean, if you can, I don't have it. It's upstairs. I was reading it, but I'm always looking at the Sports Collectors Digest Vintage catalog. It's about this thick. Going through there and I researching sets and everything else. Of course, my wife will say I'm looking for more things to buy, but which is probably true. But the more information you can gather on the hobby, the better. I would say most of the time when you go to card shows, 99% of the guys are honest dealers that you're dealing with. But you always get the occasional one or two that may try to take advantage of somebody who doesn't know the hobby or doesn't know the product or the whatever it is you're looking at. So just ask questions. I love when people. I ask questions all the time. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for since 1970. So what is that? 55 years now, and I'm always learning something new. And that's one of the great things. Besides the cards, is learning more about the hobby. There's just so much product out there. Whether you're a collector of vintage or modern day cards, whatever it is, that's your niche. That's what you collect, and that's enjoy it. So. I'm hoping that maybe I can swing a few people into the vintage collection area, but it's just this is a great hobby. So, all right, I ranted and raved enough. I want to thank you for watching this week, for taking your time out of your day to spend 30 minutes with me. It means a lot to me, and I love reading your comments. I try to get back to every single one of them. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I do try to answer, even if it's a brief answer, just acknowledging you watching and thanking you. Or maybe a longer one when we're talking about an individual question you might have or cards or whatever. I do appreciate it. All right, thank you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you. I'll probably do one on Monday, more than likely. What the subject's going to be, I have no idea. So have to tune in. All right, again, thank you, and have a great day. Goodbye.